Joining us now from Maryland is Sarah Bakshuri, SVB Energy International founder and president. Sarah, great to have you with us. And what a time to be talking about oil markets. You know, there was some optimism, cautious optimism, that what we saw with the May contract was just because we were so close to the rollover, right? And it was sort of a technical, albeit an extreme technical blip that did tell you about the situation that we have when it comes to supply versus demand. We then had that 40% plus plunge in the June contract overnight. We're now up, about 13%. So the volatility is still there. Is there a sense that a recovery is going to be a long way out?
Well, still there is a lot of doubt and uncertainty in the market. And yes, as you said yesterday, there was some optimism in the market that this is just for the May contract, because the market expects slightly higher demand growth in the month of for the next month, and also OPEC Plus or OPEC Plus has agreed to cut back supplies from the market on May 1st. So still there are some optimism that the prices are going to be in a better shape than what they are today for the next month, because the OPEC Plus cut is going to be implemented on May 1st, or maybe Saudi consider to do it sooner a bit.
It was interesting. We had that unscheduled conference call between OPEC Plus members on Tuesday with no outcome that we know of. No policy decisions were made and no further actions were taken. Is this a suggestion that they're pretty limited in terms of what they can do, or do you think they're bracing themselves at this point? They're comfortable with even the levels of volatility and pressure that we're seeing at the moment, and they're just going to try and ride it out?
Well, the thing is that we are approaching the end of the month, and most of the producers are already ready for cutting back their production from May 1st. Those producers that are cutting back voluntary production. And now we're really into the last week of April, starting not much left. And it's not very easy for producers, especially like some of the producers like Russia, that they had long discussions between the energy ministry and the producers to cut back their production. They cannot suddenly change the schedule and cut back earlier. And still, as I mentioned, there are still disagreements among different producers and market players. There are some producers, like Russian producers, that they believe that all these dramas are only the prices for this month, the issue for April and the delivery in May, but we're going to have a different, slightly different story next month when the OPEC Plus cuts start being implemented.
How important is where the production cuts are made? Because we do know that shale and Saudi supplies, for example, really bounce back fast.
So the shale production and most of the U.S. production cut is going to be organic at this level. As you mentioned in your earlier report, the Texas Railroad Commission haven't yet reached to a full agreement to cut back the production. They conditioned their production cut to other states, other producing states cut, and they might vote on this next month. So at this point, most of the additional countries that they've joined OPEC Plus cuts, their cuts are organic cuts, which means their production is going to be reduced anyhow because of lack of storage, and the production costs are higher than the current prices. When are they going to bounce back? Obviously, it depends on country to country, but in case of U.S. shale, well, we are not expecting that they cut back immediately, and still the producers are expecting that the real U.S. shale production cut is going to accelerate towards the end of this year and early next year, because we're still seeing some levels of production that have been invested in the previous month and even before the corona outbreak become very serious.
Sarah, as we speak, we are hearing from President Trump giving his press conference at the White House, saying that a secondary immigration order is under consideration, that farmers won't be affected by this immigration order. Of course, we know that he just paused legal immigration for 60 days in order to, as he says, protect American jobs. Of course, we are seeing this huge hit in the oil industry, in the energy sector. Jobs are just being lost in that sector. The president also promising more funds for the oil industry. In what form could that come, and how effective would that be?
Well, in the argument for President Trump's administration with regard to the immigrants is that anyhow the government, the U.S. government, federal government, would have certain commitments to residents and citizens of the United States, and they do not want to be obliged to pay more out of their pockets for new immigrants. But something that is very important is that the only data we have now for forecast or model is China, that has been hit much earlier than every other country, and has been recovered now. And there is not yet any indication that even if the lockdowns are back, and there are evidence that Chinese industry have been recovered and they're using the same amount of electricity, or the demand for certain raw materials have been bounced back to last year or pre-coronavirus outbreak. But there is not yet any indication on how the individual behavior is going to change. Are they going to be even more mobile after the lockdowns are eased? So even if you look at into a long term, into like 2040s, which is next 20 years, most of the organizations have revised their demand down between 2 to 3 million barrels per day, even for the next 20 years, because they're not sure if all these people that now are home or working from their home are going to be back into the same scale of mobile pattern and behavior that they used to be before the coronavirus outbreak.
Sarah Lakshuri, thank you very much for your thoughts, SVB Energy International founder and president.